I had just started making coffee when the sound of my front gate clanging open froze me in place. Nobody ever used that gate except deliveries, and I wasn't expecting anyone. I peeked through the window and my heart skipped a beat. It wasn't a delivery van, it was her, Karen, the self-appointed queen of our HOA, clutching a clipboard like it was a weapon. Karen's lips were already moving before she even reached my porch. I couldn't hear the words yet, but the sharp hand gestures said enough. I sighed, set my mug down, and unlocked the door. Big mistake. "Good morning, Karen," I said carefully, keeping my voice neutral. She didn't reply with a greeting. Instead, she barked, "You can't have random vehicles parked in front of your house, especially medical ones." I blinked. "You mean the nurse?" "Yes." That nurse Karen pointed dramatically toward the curb, where my visiting nurse, Lydia, was stepping out of her car, holding her medical bag. Lydia had been visiting me for months after my surgery. Always polite, quiet, and on time. Karen stormed halfway down the driveway before I could stop her. "Excuse me, you can't just park here without HOA approval. Who even gave you permission to enter this neighborhood?" Lydia froze, obviously startled. "I'm the home nurse for Mrs. Jensen," she said calmly. "I'm here for her scheduled checkup." Karen crossed her arms. "That's not possible. We have strict visitor regulations. You can't just show up without clearance." I stepped forward, trying to diffuse the tension. "Karen, she's been coming here every week for 2 months. You've literally seen her car before." Karen's eyes narrowed. "That's not the point. We've received complaints about unusual activity here, and as HOA chair, I'm responsible for maintaining community safety." Her words made my stomach twist. Complaints? About me? Lydia tried to smile politely. "Ma'am, I'll only be about 30 minutes. Karen sneered. "Oh no, I'm documenting this. You'll be fined for unauthorized medical personnel entry." She raised her phone, snapping photos of Lydia's car, the license plate, even Lydia's face. That's when I felt my patience snap. "Karen, stop!" "That's harassment. She's here for my health, not to break your precious HOA rules," but she just smirked. "If you think you can bypass regulations because you're special, you're mistaken." Lydia's voice trembled slightly now. "I'm just trying to do my job. Please let me pass." Karen blocked her path like a guard dog. "Not until I confirm with the HOA board. This neighborhood has standards." The tension was unbearable. I could see Lydia's hands shaking. My heart was pounding, not from fear, but from anger. I grabbed my phone and hit record. "Go ahead, Karen," I said coldly. "Keep talking." "I'm recording for my lawyer." For a second, her face went pale. Then she pointed a trembling finger at me. "You think you can threaten me?" "I'll call security," Lydia whispered. "Maybe I should just come back another time." "No," I said firmly. "You came here to help me, and you'll finish your work." "She's not in charge of who visits my property." Karen let out a dramatic laugh. "We'll see about that." She dialed her phone and began shouting into it. "Yes, this is Karen from Block D. We have unauthorized personnel trespassing." The situation felt unreal, like something out of a bad TV show. Lydia slowly entered the house, her voice quiet. "I'll check your vitals quickly." Maybe she'll calm down, but Karen didn't calm down. In fact, she marched straight to my window and started taking more photos. I yanked the curtains shut. "Unbelievable," I muttered. "She's lost her mind." Lydia checked my blood pressure. It was high, of course, and said softly, "You shouldn't get upset, ma'am." I forced a shaky laugh. Too late for that. 10 minutes passed, but the shouting outside didn't stop. I peeked out again. Now there were 2 more HOA members standing with Karen, whispering and pointing toward my house. Lydia's eyes widened. "She called reinforcements?" I nodded grimly. "Looks like it." That's when I heard another sound, the distinct whoop of a siren approaching. Karen's little HOA crusade had just escalated beyond her control. As the police car stopped at the curb, Lydia stepped back, nervous. Karen, on the other hand, looked triumphant. She waved dramatically. "Officer! Over here! We have an intruder and possible medical scammer." I stormed outside before the officer could even answer. "She's not an intruder. She's my registered nurse. You can check her ID." The officer gave Karen a look that said, "Please stop talking." Karen folded her arms smugly. "You can't allow this, officer. HOA policy clearly prohibits unsanctioned business activity." The officer sighed. "Ma'am, this isn't a business." "It's health care," Karen sputtered. Well, I was only protecting the neighborhood." I looked at Karen, still glaring, her clipboard trembling in her hand. A part of me wanted to say yes, but another part wanted to see how far she'd go before realizing she'd lost. And as the officer radioed for backup to verify the nurse's credentials, Karen's expression began to crumble. For the first time since I'd moved into this neighborhood, she looked scared. The police officer's radio crackled as he stepped aside, speaking quietly into it. Karen stood a few feet away, her arms crossed tight, pretending she wasn't shaking. Lydia stood near her car, pale but calm, holding out her nurse's ID badge like it was her shield. The silence between them was unbearable. Every second stretched longer than the last. Karen tried to break it first. "You see, officer, we have a very strict policy about medical staff visiting without prior approval. Some of us have security concerns, you know. We've had strangers pretending to be healthcare workers before." The officer didn't even look at her. "Is that so?" His tone was polite but heavy with disbelief. I took a deep breath. "Officer, this nurse has been coming here for 2 months. I've been recovering from back surgery. She's never caused a problem, until Karen decided to create one." Karen spun toward me, her face red. "I didn't create anything. I'm doing my duty as HOA chair. If people like you would just follow the rules..." I cut her off. "People like me? What's that supposed to mean?" Her eyes flicked nervously toward the police car. I didn't mean it that way." Lydia's soft voice interrupted her. "Ma'am, you took photos of me in my car. You yelled at me in front of my patient's home. That's not security, that's harassment." Karen's jaw tightened, but she didn't respond. The officer turned back to her. "Did you file any official HOA complaint about this visitor before today?" Karen hesitated. "Well, no. But we've discussed it verbally." The officer raised a brow. "So there's no written complaint, no record, and no actual violation. Yet you called the police and accused this woman of trespassing?" Karen swallowed hard. I thought..." He cut her off sharply. "You thought wrong. You can't use emergency services for personal disputes, ma'am." For the first time, Karen looked truly rattled. She turned to me, her voice shaky. "You're making this worse than it is." "No," I said quietly. "You already did that." Another police car pulled up, lights flickering. A second officer got out, holding a tablet. "We verified her ID. She's a registered visiting nurse with the county medical board." Lydia let out a deep breath of relief. Karen, meanwhile, took a step back, mumbling, "That can't be right. There must be some mistake." The first officer looked unimpressed. "The only mistake here, ma'am, is wasting police time." Karen's voice cracked. "But I was protecting the neighborhood." "From what?" he asked. "A licensed nurse doing her job?" Her face turned beet red. She opened her mouth to speak again, but stopped when her phone buzzed. I saw the screen light up with a name. HOA Vice President, Marlene. Karen's eyes darted around before she answered. "Karen, what did you do?" A woman's voice shouted so loudly I could hear it from where I stood. "The police just called our office. You brought officers to a resident's house?" Karen stammered. I thought she was unauthorized. I was only— You've embarrassed the entire board, Marlene snapped. There's going to be an emergency meeting tonight. Don't talk to anyone until then. Karen lowered her phone, speechless. The officer nodded toward her. You heard your board, ma'am. Go home. You're done here. She turned slowly, eyes glassy, and started walking toward her house without another word. The clipboard that never left her hand hung limp at her side. The moment she was gone, Lydia exhaled deeply. I can't believe that just happened. I nodded. Neither can I. She's been difficult before, but never like this. The officer handed me a small card. Here's the incident number. If you decide to file a complaint with the HOA or pursue legal action, you'll need this. You have every right— Thank you, I said, my voice quiet but steady. As the police cars drove away, the street felt painfully still. Lydia finished her checkup silently, though her hands were still trembling. Before leaving, she gave me a faint smile. You've got a strong heart, Mrs. Jensen. Don't let people like her scare you. I smiled back. If I had $1 for every time she tried, I'd pay off this mortgage. That night, around 9 p.m., I saw headlights sweep across my front lawn. A black SUV stopped in front of Karen's house. 3 HOA board members stepped out, their expressions tight and angry. They knocked on her door. She opened it, looking small and uncertain, a version of Karen I'd never seen before. They were inside for nearly an hour. I couldn't hear what was said, but I saw the faces: disappointment, frustration, and finally, resignation. When they left, Karen stood in the doorway, eyes red, clutching her clipboard to her chest. Then, slowly, she tore one of the papers off it and threw it in the trash. The next morning, an official HOA notice appeared on our community board near the entrance gate. Notice: effective immediately, Karen H. has resigned from her position as HOA chairperson. The board thanks her for her service. I stared at the notice for a long time, unsure how to feel. Relief, maybe, or vindication. Lydia texted me later that morning. Saw the update. Justice served. I smiled at the screen and typed back, finally. A week later, I was watering my front lawn when a different neighbor, Marlene, the HOA vice president, stopped by. Mrs. Jensen, she said kindly, I wanted to apologize for what happened. We never approved Karen's behavior. She overstepped. I appreciate that, I said. She's been difficult for a while. I just didn't think she'd go that far. Marlene sighed. She's been under pressure lately. Personal issues, family problems. But still, it doesn't excuse what she did. We're revising the HOA policy to make sure something like this never happens again. That's good to hear, I replied, because this neighborhood needs less control and a little more compassion. She smiled faintly. Agreed. That night, I sat by my window with the lights off, staring at Karen's dark, silent house across the street. For months, her porch light had burned every night, like a symbol of her constant watchfulness. Tonight, it was off. I should have felt triumphant, but instead I felt something else. Pity. Maybe she'd finally realized how far she'd gone. Maybe she was just lonely, needing control to fill some kind of emptiness. Still, I whispered to myself, let this be the last time. Because no matter what her reasons were, nothing justified what she'd done, humiliating a nurse, disrupting peace, and turning a neighborhood into a battleground of fear. As I closed the curtains, my phone buzzed with a new message. It was from an unknown number. I hope you're happy. No name, no signature. But I didn't need one. I stared at the message for a moment, then deleted it. Some battles weren't worth reopening. For the first time in weeks, I slept without fear that someone was watching. And as I drifted off, I realized something simple yet powerful. Sometimes standing up for yourself isn't about yelling louder. It's about refusing to be intimidated, even when the bully lives right next door.